eyes up and on the screen. Got some warnings for you. The commentary streamer guys are complaining by now, I'm sure, but it'll be okay. I promise. Now that that's out of the way, I'll give you some context here. So please pay attention. People sometimes complain that I don't give enough context for these calls, but I'm sure they're just not paying attention, so please do so this time. Today, I'm releasing 2 calls. They've both been edited down to remove fluff and other things that just don't need to be put out there. Both calls are concerning former members of the slideshow commentary community, these people being Kayden Monroe and Michael Schomer respectively. If you haven't seen Chuli's video about Avi and Nezzy that she uploaded last week, you'll need to. In this, she goes over her past with Kayden Monroe. The TLDR is that he spoke to her often about his kinks when she was a minor and normalized those topics to her. While Chuli has not specified that Kaden himself was a groomer, she brought attention to those actions as they contributed to her desensitization to these topics at a young age, which left her more susceptible to members of the community who were actively predatory. In 2024, Chuli confronted him about his past with her. Her only request was for him to recognize his wrongdoings and then take a week off of his platform to reflect, and then to make a statement about it when it was made public. I have heard this call. I can confirm that at no point was he harassed, belittled, or bullied. However, when Chuli publicly stated word for word what was discussed between the two of them via video, Kaden's response was to completely freak out. This led to a call in SCC Courthouse, a community resolution server. As the person who was in charge of that server at the time was, well, laughably unprepared for the responsibility, I took the reins of the call to find out what was going on. There's going to be a section removed from this call per Chuli's request. And despite what Kaden's partner, Blaze, seems to think, there was no request for this call to not be recorded to my knowledge. Here it is.
Until this year.
Why are we in trial pit instead of just general discussion?
Privacy.
Oh, I see.
I didn't want us to be in
because the moment I'm done explaining myself, and I'll let you guys explain and do whatever, the moment I'm done explaining myself or answering any questions or anything like that, I'm gonna be honest, I'm leaving the server.
That's same.
Okay.
Because this is just not my scene. I'm trying to move on with my life. I'm trying to move forward with my life. No offense to anybody here.
Like, everything that's been occurring here in the past month has been a shit show on my mental health.
Well, my question is, has anybody actually watched the video yet?
I have not.
Okay.
I have yet to watch it in full.
Okay. JC, have you watched the video?
I have not gotten around to it myself. No.
Okay. Somebody who
I will
watched
do so.
it needs to be in here. At least that section. That way this can actually be discussed. Otherwise, we're spinning our wheels and getting nowhere over nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Initially, I first heard about it through Liv earlier this afternoon.
Well, I heard about the discussion months ago, so thankfully not new to me.
The way I was told, and Kaden, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
I was told that Ponder was going to make you aware when the video was dropping, and she did not.
You were supposed to get a preview of the video before it was released.
We both were.
No, I didn't ask for that. You asked for it specifically, though.
Well, I had her blocked. Like, let's be frank. I'm very much on fucking edge around Ponder as of late.
Why?
Ever since the call, I cannot, I don't know. I cannot fucking trust her worth a damn. I just can't.
What did she do that made this massive breach of trust?
First of all, this was her server,
Yeah.
okay? She did not do her due diligence in her own server before involving minors in it,
All right.
okay? So we were associating with each other the way that we always had.
Mm-hmm.
We were making jokes. One of the jokes being, what was it, babe? I believe it was dick-shaped cookies and waffles?
What? Yeah, Dick shit. I was talking about a story of whenever I was part of the Reddit Secret Santa, and I brought up that what somebody gifted me from San Francisco was a penis-shaped cake pop, which you could buy off the street, and then it kind of divulged from there of us just talking about penis-shaped pastries like waffles and cookies and stuff like that.
Of course, it was from San Francisco.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in the call you had with Ponder, was Ponder being accusatory, or was she just there?
He was explaining the situation.
Okay, then what did Ponder do that means you can't trust her, then?
It's more of Blaze felt that I was being thrown under the bus because if you want my honest opinion, after
she dragged you into this group call and then barely gave I wasn't there, but by the sounds of it, she barely gave you an opportunity to really say much for yourself.
Okay, but was the call recorded by anybody?
No.
Okay. Here's the thing.
I asked that myself.
Yeah, but of course Ponder hasn't responded to my knowledge yet. Look, I don't know if Kaden was being thrown under the bus or if they were just having a frank discussion. To my knowledge, nobody's made a claim about predation. So if there's a claim that goes out that is incorrect, that's one thing. But if it's just, this is my experience...
No, but I don't like...
Go ahead.
I don't like being tagged at work like, does she know about this? Does she know about Kaden's actions? Actions of what? Yes, of course I knew. He told me.
So
he was in that call.
Yeah, and that's something
It made it come off like, does she know about his predation?
Trust me.
That was fucked.
I understand. I empathize with that. I had plenty of people telling me that my wife should divorce me because of the Rosa call. Trust me, I get it. This community needs to do better about how we communicate our concerns to each other. The random tagging, which will cause anybody, including my own, anxiety to go through the roof, does not help anything. And it means whoever you tag is going to come in immediately wanting to throw hands. So, there are better ways to deal with this. Okay?
No, but I don't like the implication of the message itself. Like, was she made aware of this? I think Blaze should be made aware of his actions. Yeah. Like it was some fucking act of predation. I don't like that.
Hey. I genuinely wasn't aware if you knew about it or not. Okay?
Okay, so Umbrus, you saw the video?
At the very least, the part that concerns you.
Okay. I would like to know what was said. I'm here to clear up any information. I'm not going to make a statement on that video. I'm not going to be making a statement publicly. I'm only going to be making a statement here. And if you guys can forward that statement, I'll even type out a statement if I need to, but it looks like nobody cares that I'm in here. And then after that, I'm leaving the call. I'm leaving the server. Just a heads up. So what was said?
So in order for me to explain what was said about you, I'll have to slightly give context to something mentioned prior. I'm gonna get screenshots to what I can.
Okay.
It was a bit of a lengthy segment, so it may take me just a bit. But Chuli opened up about their experiences with V, and provided screenshots for that. And the reason you were brought up is because you were mentioned in a message Chuli sent to V. And Chuli brought up how you would talk sexually to them when they were apparently 15.
I never once messaged them sexually. The only thing I did was I made sexual jokes around Chuli. In fact, in our DMs, we never discussed about anything sex-wise at all. So to say that I was sexual around Chuli, if sexual around and sexual towards are two different animals. I was never sexual towards Chuli. I knew they were a minor. I never even imagined that. I was also in a relationship with Blaze. So sexual towards, I think the only people I've ever been jokingly sexual towards is Silver, who is reciprocated, Avi, who is reciprocated, and That's it. Excluding Blaze.
Did Julie provide screenshots of this?
That's the thing. There is no screenshots of DMs between Kaden and Julie. The closest we have is this message I mentioned, and if I remember correctly, Julie talking to someone else who is a deleted user. Their name's not mentioned. Where like Julie and this deleted user are talking about it. And I do have a question.
Yes.
Is it true that there was a confrontation call with you in it?
There was a confrontation call this year. And if you're talking about a confrontation call from a while ago, it was never about these explicit issues. It was about other things. It was about my poor mental attitude. It was about my me. If I remember correctly, it was about me being aggressive towards Julie in like an anger sort of way, and me diminishing Julie as me diminishing Julie in the way that you would do, as in like, oh, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, you're a child type thing. Yeah. Never in that entire conversation was anything sexually explicit brought up at all, except for the one that happened this year. This year, it was brought up to me that what I was the way I was acting back then was also sexual in nature as well. I will say this, and I will defend this to the day that I lose, until the day I die. It was never sexual towards, it was sexual around. Which is, I never towards Julie made anything of that nature. They bring up a factor of, and I remember these screenshots, and I remember the statement from the conversation we had this year of that they know that they don't know how, but they know that I'm a top, which any person who knows me from that time, any person that knows me now, I have made that shit public. I have made that shit very public. I have made that shit. I've said that on my streams. I have said that on my Twitter. I have said that around friends. I have said that in servers. I have never once did it in the sense of, hey, truly, I'm blank. I never went that. If anything, the only thing I could say is the closest, Truly called me a bottom, and Truly implicated that everybody in the server was a bottom, and then I said, no, I'm a top. That would be the most that I would say is ever towards them.
Yeah, no, because like I remember you were one of like the earliest people I found in this community back when I was like 11, and like after a while I did like pick up on like that type of humor of yours, but like I would not make a case against you because it's your content. There's so much I can complain about there. It's just I watched it willingly. Like that the onus is not on you for that, but like the point is like, as you've been emphasizing, it's less that it was direct and more so just tangential, I guess. I'm not sure how to explain it. You know more about this.
I will not defend in saying it's appropriate.
Definitely.
I'll say that right now. In hindsight, I should have never fucking said that. In hindsight, there's a lot of things that we should have not done.
Well, in hindsight, that server should have had an NSFW channel at the very least.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not able to send messages in Trial Pit.
Here's the thing. Is anything in the video making any negative claims? Anything that is distorted or twisted that is not based in either their memory or in the factual information presented?
Well, that we're gonna have to watch the video to find out, because I honestly don't know. Again, I just got off work, and so did Kaden.
I'm gonna be completely frank. I'm not in the mood to watch the video.
It sounds as though Julie explicitly had stated that it was sexual toward as opposed to around.
Then she's lying. They are lying.
Well,
She's going to have to provide something for that because I was not made aware of anything like that. And from the screenshots that she shared in that group call that they were in, yes, she did share screenshots that she mentioned she was going to be putting in the video. So he was made aware of some of these things. I don't know if there was anything else, but if she's adding to it, it's not accurate.
couple of points of order.
One thing
hold
that
on,
is...
hold on. Couple of points of order. Is Julie a she or a they?
I think it's a they.
Okay, second.
Probably. I haven't been around her. I haven't been around them or anyone in that community for a while, and I've actually left a bunch of Ponder servers as well.
Let's stay with the they. Now, it's possible they could be lying, or it's possible they could just be wrong. Lies require intent. Intent specifically to deceive. So it's possible they just got it wrong, they misremembered. Memory is a very fickle thing, and human beings can quite literally create false memories. So let's not
Definitely, I would know that.
let's try, as much as you are angry right now, as much as I understand why, it is best to try to, as we can, operate as much in good faith and be as charitable as possible here. Because I do know this for a fact. Julie has been wronged by this community. Julie has been victim blamed by this community. So right now, and matter of fact, not just right now, but in general, Julie needs to be treated kindly. So unless Julie says, Kaden preyed on me, Kaden groomed me, right now what we have is assumptions. We don't have anything else to go on. To my knowledge, this video is just them talking about their experiences, and in and of itself that can be fine. To my knowledge, Julie is not claiming that Kaden is a predator, that Kaden needs to be blacklisted, that Kaden needs to be removed, doxxed, or any of that. They're just saying inappropriate conversations happened around me in these spaces, and that is true.
Well, I was about to say, they opened this, the parts about Kaden up with, the fact that, well, not the fact, but, with the statement that Kaden sexually harassed them. That's something that's important to mention.
I know the context of that. The thing that I said was what I said was when Julie was sucking up, well, I kissing up, sucking up, whatever. You want to put that in the phrase. I used the phrase Julie sucking your dick.
Shouldn't have done that.
Shouldn't have done that. But that was also the nature of the server.
Here's the thing that I need you to internalize here, and I say this without like dogging on you or judging you harshly. Regardless of the nature of a server, like, you make your own decisions here. The nature of this server is extremely emotionally volatile. I choose whether or not I want to be that or whether or not I want to remain calm. So just something to keep in mind going forward, regardless of spaces you're in.
But the other thing I'll say that is not something I do anymore. In fact, I actively stay away from minors in these servers. If I'm in a server with minors, if it's not a public server, I avoid that server at all costs. Which is one of the major things that they said that I should be doing.
Yeah.
And if that's how they feel, that's how they feel. And personally, I've taken this entire thing as a learned experience, and I'd rather stay away, excluding from the hypothetical of having a child, which my demeanor would immediately change. I don't like being around children. I don't like being around anybody under the age of 18.
Kids do suck, so the point still stands, though. Unless Julie has made claims that they know are incorrect or that do not jive with the information presented, right now the response, as much as you may want it to be, cannot be anger. Or should not be anger. If this is something that you guys talked about...
It's hard not to be.
Well, I know, but you guys already talked about this months ago, remember? So, you knew this was coming. You knew this video was coming out. Granted, apparently there was some sort of agreement about seeing it before it did that fell through, that's here or there. But, like, you knew this was coming, so it wasn't a blindsiding sideball.
It wasn't, and I'm not saying it is. What I'm saying is, we came to an understanding that my actions back then do not reflect the actions of now. In fact, I have, for anybody who is paying attention or anybody who noticed, and I have a feeling nobody in this call has, I stepped away from all forms of content creation, all forms of streaming, anything, the things that were making me money at the time. I took the time away from that under request from Julie.
Okay, that's
to show that I have changed.
okay. Now, Umbra, since you watched it, was any of this communicated in Julie's video?
Louis, are you here?
I think they're mute.
She might be permanent.
Yeah, we'll come back
I
to
might
her
be.
in a
I think
minute.
I remember her mentioning that an apology from Kaden was mentioned,
Okay, that's
if I'm
good.
recalling correctly.
I was just mainly concerned about this because this is the first I've heard of it, and I just I haven't been around your circle in forever, so I just didn't know what was going on. That was about it.
Yeah.
Because I remember being in that server a long time ago.
I'll say this right now, and I'll say this to anybody who asks me, and I'll make a statement in the courthouse in that thing in the topic discussion thread that you made. I'll make a full statement if it makes anybody feel better. I am in no way happy with my actions from back then. I am a completely different person than I was back then. Anybody who's been around me or anybody who's talked to me, I have a feeling, Autumn, you and I knew each other back then.
Yeah.
You can I bet you, and I'm saying this more of a just assumption, that you can tell that I'm a completely different person than I was back then right now.
It's been a while. I think we rarely spoke, but I don't think I recall any conversations we had in said server, because I think
Fair.
I was very particularly attached to Rachel.
Yeah.
I don't know if you read that part, but I learned some very unfortunate things. Happened
Trust
to
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my sympathy towards you and everybody involved. My point being is that growth internally, externally has happened since then. These events happened in 2017, 2018. It is 2024.
Mm-hmm.
There's and anybody who has been around me, anybody who can attest, I think Lio can attest to this, at least without the people saying the bias part of Blaze. Anybody in this server that is in, like, what was it? Zenny can back me up on this one. I am a completely different person than I was back in 2017. I have learned to deal with my emotions more maturely. I have made sure that the servers that I am in are very selective, and that in the process that I am taking the efforts to, even after this all came out, to still that I need to know that I'm changing.
Yeah.
Oh God, sorry. I'm flustered. I just got off of a long shift. And I've had a long week.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is, I will not say the actions that, like, the shit that I said back then was wrong. Not wrong. I will not say what Truly said that I said is wrong in the sense that these things did happen. They are wrong in the sense that I should have never done this.
Well,
And
what do you mean
I
you should
have
never-
done everything in my power.
Hold on, you said they are wrong in the sense that they said you should never have done this. I mean, that's true though. You shouldn't have done it.
Yeah. No. What I'm saying is, it is wrong that I've done it, and I shouldn't have done it. I'm not saying that they're wrong in saying that I am in the wrong for doing this.
Okay.
Miswording.
Sorry. It's hard. There's a lot of wrongs here to make right, and I'm sorry. Jokes, haha, hee hee ho ho. But the point I'm trying to make is, Julie's not wrong in feeling that I have done wrong. Julie is not wrong in saying what I did was wrong. I am in the wrong for doing this stuff in the first place. But the only thing I can do now is grow, change, and move forward with my life.
Yeah.
Which I have been doing since the pandemic.
Okay, but in that, you and Blaze also can't reasonably blame Ponder either. To my knowledge, and to the knowledge of everything I've been told, Ponder didn't come in there and, like, let somebody throw you under a bus. Ponder was just there for, what, verification and emotional support? So, I don't understand why... I don't understand why people are saying
I'm not blaming... I still, in an arm's length type of way, trust Ponder. The issue that we have with Ponder, and this is completely detached from it, is there were several moments where, while this video was being made, while these documents were being gathered and all that stuff, Ponder would hang out in a call in one server and then immediately go towards another, and then immediately, what was it, in Heaton server, I'll just say names, seeing that the video is about them. And then immediately the next step, go into their own server and start hanging out with people that are in that server and not Heaton server. And that put a bad taste in, more specifically, Blaze's mouth, especially.
Yeah, that really soured it for me, because explicitly the calls that Ponder was part of is like shortly after a text in the server was sent. Basically, it was shortly after Heaton texted in the server, "I'm not doing well," and basically, she was in, like, her lowest. I don't know what I'm fully allowed to say here, but to put it lightly, she was suicidal.
Okay, I get that, but, like, you're mad because Ponder was in calls?
No, I'm mad because Ponder was in there watching Heaton break down vividly, and then immediately going back to Truly. I don't know what was said between her and Truly after that point. And I'm not talking like, oh, a day after. I mean 5 minutes after.
I'm aware, but again,
visibly.
Hold on, back up. If you don't know what was said, you don't know what was said. You cannot hold Ponder responsible for Chuli's actions. Ponder can't control Chuli any more than I can control any of you, so I don't understand why you're upset with Ponder.
I'm not holding her responsible for Chuli's actions. I'm holding her responsible for her own actions. I don't think it was in good taste.
It was in bad faith, and it could diminish a lot of trust in the way that everything went down. We would see Heaton go through these messages and the drama alerts, and I'm going into specifics, but I could say this stuff and either way.
And this was during the time that we had started being aware that a video was being made.
Yeah.
No, that's actually
and
not.
then
so that's what I didn't like.
Back up.
It's like, okay,
you're going off of incorrect information. Ponder's access to drama chat was removed before Heaton had a full meltdown about any of this, and before, to my knowledge, Chuli announced a video.
Okay, then we did not know that. And
this is based on my own memory. I could be wrong, but I remember Ponder limiting the drama chat when Yuki spilled something.
That was after Yuki. This situation happened before Yuki.
I do remember the Yuki situation didn't happen until May. Heaton was going through these swings in April, and the video was mentioned back in April and March.
I explicitly remember this because the Yuki thing was directly involving me.
Hold on. Actually, I'm going to double check that, because Something doesn't work with that timetable. Give me a moment.
The thing that
I'm in too
happened
many
in May
servers.
with Yuki, it was directly involving me, the thing with Yuki.
Yeah.
So Ponder's access was not, it was only limited after that. A lot of people's access were limited after that. But before that was when Heaton was at her worst. And I vividly remember her being in calls with Heaton while she was in these swings. And then immediately hopping in with Chuli 5 minutes later. And I'm not talking group calls, I mean one-on-one with Chuli. And this was before we found out that there was... Wasn't it before we found out that a video was being made? It was around that time.
No, the video was mentioned. Like, people found out that Chuli was going to be making a video, I believe, in
You're right.
April.
You're right. That's what triggered it.
And yeah, that's what triggered it initially.
So I'm going through DM.
Granted, time is a soup. So
is it okay if I quickly chime in with something?
Yes.
You can tell me if this was already brought up. I suppose something that could help your case or just definitively prove anything, Kayden. Do you still have your DM history of Chuli? If
No.
any at all?
Let me double check.
Because going through that could very well help either of your case. I don't know whose, but we'll see.
To be fair, Livy, I don't think... if earlier, I believe Kaden mentioned that he was not going to address this and just move on. If I remember correctly, Kaden?
I am going to address it in the server because the only people that will know that are interested or anything of that nature would be in this server. Okay. I'm not going to be addressing anything publicly, and if anybody comes towards me about this public, I'll make a singular statement and then move on with my life.
Well, if I recall, Kaden, you've already made a public apology on Twitter. You've already done a public apology about this.
Okay.
No,
I looked it up.
You have, because you said the reason that you were on hiatus.
The hiatus thing.
I looked it up. The Yuki thing came before Chuli announcing making a video because Heaton told me directly in DMs at the end of April that was happening, but the stuff with Yuki happened at the beginning of April.
Okay, that's fine. That is fine. So, but the fact still stands, Heaton was in a very bad spot, and I remember wanting to be in those calls, and I couldn't be in those calls, and Ponder was in those calls. Yeah. And then I remember immediately, like 5 minutes after those calls, is when she was in one-on-one with Chuli.
Yeah, but you
on her server.
But you don't know what was said there either.
No, I don't know what was said. I don't feel I'm wrong to think that was in bad taste.
I put a little comment about it in the Prowl Pet side chat here.
I can't
read it when I'm on the road. Also, while we're at this, I'm sorry, Jace, for blowing up at you. That wasn't my... It's not excusable.
Emotions are high.
Emotions are high. It's not excusable. I took out my frustration on you. I've been dealing with a lot of shit at my new job. I'm repeating government policies I don't fucking understand to people who are yelling at me. It's not fun.
If I can get a date, I can scrub back. I have found my DMs. I could scrub back and see what was there. But I'll also say this as another thing. Depending on when this happened, I am running across a lot of civility between me and Chuli. In fact, friendliness between me and Chuli, talking about politics, talking about non-sexual things, sending memes, sending happy birthday wishes. A thing that, well, no, they were an adult whenever they sent me that. I'm not even gonna fucking think, but a joke copy pasta about Easter. The Happy Easter, you snow bunny hose. And it goes off and like humming and cummies and stuff like that. So.
And those were from Chuli?
Those are from Chuli.
Okay.
I never sent anything of that nature towards us.
Yeah,
Uh.
if I may, the thing I mentioned in the little side chat, you were mentioning how Ponder would hop from a server and then almost immediately after he spoke about like spiraling and her swings and all that,
I
jump
feel like
to like another server or another call.
yeah. Okay, so let me clarify. In Heaton's server, Heaton was talking about she's not doing well. She's in a mentally terrible spot. I don't know what terms I'm able to use here, but I feel like if I say it bluntly, it just makes the most sense if I could.
Suicidal ideations.
Yeah. Heaton was very much into those thoughts. And she had expressed that to the server. So when she expressed that to the server, people were hopping into a call with her to try to comfort her. I forget who all was in there. It was a couple of people, and then Ponder was also in there. I wasn't able to hop in there because I was busy with something, and I could not free myself up to be in there. However, I do remember when I checked back in Keaton's server to see if she still needed help, there was no one in that call. Okay. And then, like, after I found that out, I hop into, I just check into Ponder's server really quick because they have some Minecraft stuff in there. And I see Ponder in a call with Chuli, and there's no one else in that call. And that made me very nervous. I didn't like that. I felt it was in very bad taste, given how bad Heaton's mental state was. And it made me very nervous as to, okay, what's happening here? Like, how much grace do I need to be giving in this situation?
Well, Ponder's
Do you
up
think
if we want to bring
was
Ponder into the call.
Yeah. Do you
Are
think
you-
she was like being avoidant to Heaton by any chance?
I think that
I think
people
right
are-
now would be best to get Ponder in.
I think people are reading too much into
think-
this simply because it is, and I've been in a situation like this, it is not easy and it is not fun to have two friends that are having a really hard struggle between each other and you're caught in the middle and you don't know what to do. So I think that people are assuming Ponder's doing some snake stuff or is being inconsistent or not being careful about other people and how they feel when that may not be the case here and probably isn't. It can't be easy for Ponder. It really can't be, because people do expect Ponder to control Chuli or tell Chuli to do things. Chuli is a fully functional adult. They pay their own bills. They do taxes. Like, Ponder can't make Chuli do or not do something.
We're not. I'm gonna say
I'm not
this right now.
saying- I'm
Yeah.
not saying she's making Chuli do anything. I don't know what was said in that call. I'm saying it was in bad taste.
Well-
I don't feel I'm wrong in saying that I felt it was in
you
bad taste.
you can feel how you want, but the thing is, you're also looking at it from an external point where you can microscope it and say, well, it's in bad taste that somebody went from one call to another, but to the people involved in those calls, it was just going from one call to another. There's nothing inherently
It's
wrong
the
or
fact.
sinister.
It's the fact of the people that were involved and how volatile everything was at the time. It's not just, oh, you hopped from one call to another. It's what was involved. It's the people that were involved and the situation that was happening.
I'm gonna say this because you're driving, so you know.
She's
B
in here,
has.
I know.
Okay, just making sure. My
Ponder.
point, my general gist, and all I'm trying to say is, I'm floundering. I've barely eaten. I have barely slept. I have just gotten off of an 8-hour shift, and I get a message. I get a call. Blaze wants to do a call, and she's like, "What the fuck is going on with Chuli's video?" And I get bombarded with all this information.
Well, I was bombarded with questions when I was tagged, and then when I said, hey, I'm at work, I'm just coming off my break, I'm not allowed to have my phone out on the call room floor, and then I'm bombarded with questions I'm not able to answer, and I'm almost, like, I straight up went into a panic attack earlier.
Yeah, that needs to be, like, addressed with the community going forward. Unless a life is at stake, immediacy isn't required for everything. You don't have to tag people into freaking oblivion. Good lord.
It's not the fact that I was tagged. It's and I'm in a calmer state now when I'm saying this. So Jace, I'm really trying to explain what was going on in my headspace when this happened. It was the implication in the message itself.
Yeah. The implication of
that
you didn't know what your boyfriend was doing. Ooh, yeah, we gotta be better about that.
Right. And that really, I think that's kind of what sent me a little bit. And I know you didn't intend that. I'm just telling you where my headspace was at when it happened.
Yeah. So Ponder is here. You might want to give them a minute to wake up. Wake and bake and all that.
Well, I might have to give them. I don't know if they're able to speak right now, because the trial pit is very specific with like text chats, and so I don't know if they're able to speak in chats.
I cannot read the text chat.
Yeah, so okay, that'll. Let me see. Would it be best if
I'm not staying here. I'm not staying here for long after this. So whatever permissions you need to give, I'm not going to do anything to the server.
Okay.
My.
Okay. Do we still have that role? Hold on. How do I add roles again? God damn it. Mollusk, where are you? There you are. Will the guest roles still count? Jace, I might need your help. Okay, I can talk, I just didn't want to interrupt. Okay. Okay. In that case.
I haven't watched the video. Personally, I'm not going to watch the video.
I get it.
It's because the majority of the video is not about me. If somebody timestamped the section, I can clear up any information or anything of that nature. But
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you.
I switched over to my headphones. I turned off the engine on my car.
Am I needed for anything else?
No, you can go ahead and bounce.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
I was
you.
gonna ask for timestamp, but yeah.
Yeah, if you can timestamp it, I'd appreciate it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll timestamp at the very least, like, when you're first named. After that, I'll dip from the server. I didn't really want to get involved in anything else, but...
So, okay, actually clear me up. There's no definitive section of me. Just moments explained of things that I did at the time.
Yeah, like, there's a focus on you, but this section isn't like Kayden Monroe or anything like that. It's just, oh god.
I think Autumn might have mentioned the specific segment where you were brought up. Let me scroll back up and find it.
That was around the chapter that was like where it's called not a like oh god or something around there. That's the timestamp I gave. I don't exactly know when the mention of Kaden is brought up. I just know that V and Kaden were mentioned.
Okay.
This is the timestamp I landed on.
Okay.
But there's a little bit of context before.
I'm unable to see the chat, so if anyone's posting in chat, I just can't see it. I don't think
Anybody
my
can-
internet access is slow, perhaps. I don't know.
No, nobody can see it.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna bounce from the server for at least until next week.
Yep.
Since
Bye-bye.
that's when the thing's happening.
Right.
Later.
Take care of yourself.
I'll try.
Okay, so I'm screen sharing.
What are we screen sharing?
The segment that
The segment that I'm brought up.
Let me take
Yeah.
a look.
And getting to talk to her and ponder Sprocket over the last year and finally understanding how we all process the abuse and manipulation has been absolutely amazing. The three of us spent a lot of time together back in June when they visited me.
I'm
for
not able to
VidCon,
see it.
and I
I don't know if
couldn't
that's
have
just
been
a mobile
happier.
thing.
People will disingenuously
probably
try to
is.
bring up the effect that Phagos' abuse and lies had on me as a way to explain why I'm being so crazy and unreasonable, because they really did have an effect on me. I know this isn't something I should really entertain because the sentiment is pretty gross, but I know there are some people out there who don't think that the situation, when put on paper, sounds super damaging. Like, they don't hear the situation and think of it as something abusive that causes trauma, especially because, like, it's the internet and that whole thing. I was 15. V, who was 19 at the time, on multiple occasions sent me very explicit porn hatred. One of those drawings he sent me 4 times in one day to update me on the progress of it. And on that
Okay,
day, I even got
Jesus.
into a conversation with him about sexual preferences and innocently remarked how all of my friends in the SCC had a specific preference, except for one man that I knew. That man being Kaden, who is known online as Kayden Monroe, and he was 27 at the time. You might notice that it's a little weird that a 15-year-old would know the sexual preferences of a 27-year-old man, and that's because it is, and bad stuff was indeed happening behind the scenes. But I'm just gonna lay it straight. When I was 14, 15, I was essentially groomed by several adult men in the SCC/adjacent into entertaining their sexualities, which we can see happening in my DMs with V Omega, where I was basically taught that being sent porn and having sexual conversations with adult men was normal. I'm not saying it was a coordinated effort necessarily, but it was more than one man. It was several men, and I entertained them when I was 15 as I was taught to. That is until I was about halfway through 16 and I stopped and started pushing back. Now, I haven't been friends with Kaden or been close to him in any regard for a while now, and for a long time I just had vague negative feelings about him with no true understanding of why. And that little mention of him in V's DMs was my only breadcrumb, but nothing beyond that. That is until I searched through my DMs with a friend who I vented to a lot back in the day, and I found instances back in 2019 when I detailed a list of times I was sexually harassed by Kaden, wherein the gist is basically that he would push sexual boundaries, often under the guise of comedy, either by comments directly crudely sexualizing me, or by posting and saying very inappropriate, often explicit things in front of me. One of these instances happened publicly on a friend's live stream, who I don't blame because they were extremely high at the time and were barely listening. I have the audio from that incident, but I don't want to post it because I would be so uncomfortable with that being public because it's so humiliating.
Fuck you.
Excuse me?
What was it?
I saw the footage. They shared it with me. The context was clear. And they removed it and are making me look worse. Was it appropriate? No.
Are you talking about the stream clip?
Yeah, I'm talking about the stream clip. It's not in the video.
Are you shitting me?
No.
So context was omitted?
Text was omitted.
Is the stream still accessible?
Oh boy.
Only with one person. And I'm not going to say their name unless they...
Kaden. We are beyond that,
Me.
man. You've got to.
It's me.
I know.
Ponder.
I know. I'm trying to calm down.
Okay.
No, Ponder. Yeah, Ponder.
Okay, well...
It was on Ponder's stream. Ponder was high.
Okay.
The lead up to the statement was, you know who makes good videos? Ponder. And I said, I'll quit sucking Ponder's dick. That's all I said. In no way was it sexually towards them. It was in the sense of, oh, they're kissing your ass. So they removed the context completely to make it sound like I was being sexual towards them.
Hold on.
Why was that first section removed?
Hold on. Back up. Let's not make assumptions, all right? We don't know if they removed the context, or they genuinely thought that was the context and have not watched that stream in a long time.
In the call that we had, they knew the context.
Okay. Ponder.
They did not like the fact that I was saying it.
Okay.
But they knew the context.
Ponder, is that call recorded?
You would have to ask Julie or Clown. I can't remember if I recorded it.
Because I can't. I can't ask either of them. So, if that is true...
Okay, I can...
Yeah, sorry. They made it clear they don't...
It should have been included, though.
They blocked me, so I'm respecting that. But, yeah.
It should have been included. Who edited the video?
Julie.
Well,
Julie did everything for this video.
Well, hold on. Ponder, is that stream, like, publicly available? Is it unlisted, privated, what?
It's unlisted. I'd have to send you a link. I can do that at my computer. Give me a minute.
Sure.
If this is the case, I'm not apologizing publicly. I'm not going to say...
Hey.
Hold on. Back up.
Let's find out what happened first.
Even if, Kaden, this is one instance of truly screwing this up, whether intentionally or not, there's still plenty you can apologize for. This isn't a matter of withholding an apology because the other person isn't as big of the person as you want them to be.
It's a pretty big oversight, but we need to hear everything first.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and continue that.
And demoralizing. But just know that in every instance, I would ask him, beg him to stop. And to him it meant keep going and try to justify why it was okay for him to do that. And the one time he did stop is because another adult witnessing what was happening shut it down very sternly. But that didn't stop him from repeating the incident again when they weren't around. Now, evidently, I knew how to stand up for myself in the moment, but I didn't know how to ask for support or coordinate a confrontation at the time. When I basically rediscovered all of these locked memories in the middle of writing this script, I had a really bad few weeks, to say the least, and it's a big reason why this video is coming out as late as it is. I told my friends what happened, including the one who shut Kaden down initially, and they helped me set up a confrontation with him. In that call, I even played the audio to him of when he did harass me on the stream, and he did profusely apologize for what he had done, and he did do what I asked of him, which was to take a break from his platform for a couple of weeks while he reflected on the knowledge of his actions. He knows that I'm talking about this publicly, and I expect him to address it publicly in his own words as well. Originally, I was gonna say something here about how I'm not personally coming forward with this information because I want to destroy Kaden's career and whatever he's doing online, but I realize it shouldn't matter. I should be able to come forward about this for whatever reason I want. I don't want what happened to me as a minor in these communities to be a dirty little secret. And just like with Faghost, I don't think it's fair to make a victim cater to the person who victimized them just because the victimizer is afraid of consequences. Hello. So I need to put a little addendum here that I did not plan on doing prior to like a week before this video goes out. So recently I was contacted by LioConvoy about V Omega, and I shared with him all of the DMs and testimony I could of V being expressly inappropriate with me while I was a minor, including the screenshot where I mentioned Kaden. I told him he was allowed to share all of the screenshots and testimony except for the one that mentioned Kaden, because I wanted to be the one to tell that story to the public. And he agreed and respected that. And Laka, thank you so much for doing that, because as you know, and as everyone is about to find out, that was not a privilege I had before. You see, the reason why Laka even knew that I was victimized by V Omega at all is because that information was shared in a video by Bummer Patrol, also known as Dalsnick, back in 2021. The information in the screenshot included in that video was published without my consent or even knowledge. But you know what? Until recently, I thought about just forgetting that and telling the full story anyways, as if it was the first time anyone was hearing about it. Because the video was deleted when Dahl ethered the Bummer Patrol channel, even though I knew that the video still existed on an archive website. That is until Laka told me that the archive of the video was circulating again, and how people were looking at and talking about that humiliating screenshot of me being sent porn as a 15-year-old that I didn't have a say in being posted. And the reason it was going around again is because V Omega was found to have come back under a different alias. And they knew that because Dahl was talking to him through that alias in 2022. So let me get this straight. You couldn't be bothered to talk to the person whose child abuse images you were about to post for everyone to see even once to make sure they were okay with it or even knew, but went out of your way to play footsie with the abuser and talk to him about how he did sexually abuse minors and was in a server chock full of minors. Boy, fuck you.
Agreed. Based.
Okay. Back to the regular video. So, anyways, as you can tell, the stuff with V happened before Faghost fed me the story, long before, and the thing with Kaden happened both long and right before Faghost fed me the story. And after I was fed the assault story by Faghost, I was sexually harassed twice in Spectre's Patreon Discord server when I was 17, both, again, by adult men. One of these
I think that's it.
Can I just kill people? Can I just get one license to just kill certain people? I would really appreciate that.
Be really awesome.
No, man. Felt that.
No, I'm. That's not towards me. That's towards V Omega, babe.
I know.
Obviously. Hey, I made a promise to V. I made a promise to him, and once I'm dealt with my own problems, I'll follow up on that whenever way I can.
I'll make the apology when I'm ready. Right now, I am pissed because they did omit that information. They omit the context of the entire thing. I'll make an apology in the comment section. I'm not just...
I would like to offer a perspective.
Please.
Hello?
But
Go ahead.
I'm listening.
Sorry. I worry that Chuli omitted it to protect me because she did, like, at separate times in that video say, like, oh, the one adult who stepped up, the person who stepped up got me into contact. She never specified that it was me who did it.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if she...
That's a big problem, though. That's another problem that I am having in this entire situation.
Okay, it might be a problem. But...
I'm gonna be upfront with you, Ponder. You are not blameless in this.
I'm aware. I've apologized to Chuli countless times. Well, not countless times.
I know you've apologized to her. I know you've apologized to her. I get that. But this situation is painted with a brush that conveniently omits you.
That's up to Chuli.
And puts other people under a light. I don't like that.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. This is from Chuli's perspective. And it's about who Chuli is concerned with. This isn't about whether or not all things are equal. If Chuli has decided that Ponder doesn't play that much of a role in their trauma, that's not something we can judge. We can complain about it maybe and talk about, lack of consistency or lack of broad idea, but that's that's truly.
I
fine.
understand that. I understand that. I do. But her perspective on it versus the truth of it are two wildly different things. She can keep that in the video. She can paint it however she wants in that video. But I know what happened. And I don't like what I'm seeing.
Okay. But the thing is... Go ahead.
I just don't want this to end in a fight. Please.
We're not fighting. We're just
You talking to me specifically?
Just in general. What I said was inappropriate. I should have been more responsible as an adult. There's a lot of things that even Julie admitted. What matters the most is even Julie was like, Kayden's taking an effort to change. And I'll make the apology this weekend. I just can't do it today. I am not mentally able.
Well, it's better to
in the
apologize.
moment that
You're
I'm
a better man than me. I'm gonna be honest. You're a much better person than me then.
The point.
I made a promise and I keep my promise.
Exactly. Frankly, I've had people say and do awful things to me, but if I got information wrong, I've still apologized for that, regardless of the nature of the individual I've talked about. I don't think that there's anything about being bigger or smaller. It's just being honest. Regardless of whether or not Julie... Sorry, go ahead.
I need to transfer over to my computer. I found the video. I have to jump into open discussion, have someone pull me back in.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that. Don't worry.
You two holding up okay?
I'm really trying to take some deep breaths here. I am.
Do you
It's
want me to
very
take 5?
difficult. I know I need to be here for this conversation because I've been left out of this conversation for way too long. And I'm not happy with the way that this ended. I'm not happy with the way this is being portrayed. I'm not happy with the way this went.
All right, I'm in.
Alright, let me know when I should.
I'm in.
I am also in. I think the only one is not is Blaze. I think she's still out.
I can't because I'm on mobile and it won't let me, but I've seen the stream clip that they're showing, so.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay. Gonna be that guy. They did literally tell you to stop and you kept going.
Yeah, and I apologize for that, but the lack of context is the issue on that.
Okay, what did Julie say that's incorrect, though, in this case?
It's not the fact that she said anything incorrect, it's the fact that she's leaving out context. He apologized for what he did. I understand it was not okay. He understands it was not okay. He was in that call when he apologized to her. That's not the issue. The issue is that she took out that part in her video.
No,
The omission of contact.
Wait, they admitted in the video, though, that Kaden has apologized.
Yes. No. Listen to me. Holy shit. What part of this is not clear?
Babe.
A lot of it, which is why I'm asking for
No,
clarification. I'm not fighting you. I'm trying to understand it.
He apologized for it. She said that. Great. That doesn't change the fact that she omitted context. Ponder, you cannot tell me that that changes the fact that she omitted context. Go ahead, tell me I'm wrong. Somebody.
I'm just trying to understand the context that is omitted. Julie described what happened in the video.
She described what happened. She did not describe the actual context of it. It was a follow-up in a conversation that they were having. Yes, he should have stopped. I'm not saying I'm not arguing that.
Okay.
But this was part of a conversation.
So
Yeah.
the context is it was a continuation of a conversation.
Yes, it was a follow-up to this. It was a joke that he made, a poor taste joke, but it was a follow-up to a conversation that was occurring in the stream.
you
Okay,
feel that the video acts like it just came out of nowhere?
Yes.
Okay. The thing is, like... Sorry, go ahead, Ponder. Don't mean to cut you off.
No, you go.
The thing is, having watched that section, I'm not seeing where they said anything incorrect.
That's not what we're arguing. That is literally not what we're arguing. I just said this 3 times. We're not arguing anything was incorrect. We're arguing context was removed. That's completely different.
Okay, so
Okay.
How else do I need to explain this?
in the video, since I know you weren't able to watch it because you're on mobile, okay? They said it was in a stream. They detailed what happened in that stream. And then they said that Kaden later apologized.
How did they detail what happened? What was part of the conversation?
They said that Kaden had made comments about sucking dick, that somebody stepped in and told them to stop after Chuli asked for Kaden to stop, and it took somebody cutting in, another adult cutting in to tell Kaden to stop to actually get him to stop. That is what happened here.
But it was part of a crass fucking joke that was part of a conversation that he thought was just a joke. I'm not saying that he was correct. I'm saying there's a part of context that was removed from the situation. And whether we like to accept that or not, it does paint the situation in a different light. It does have a different implication to it.
I don't personally think it does, and here's why. Okay? I'm going to be a little bit visceral here, a little bit blunt. If somebody came to me making a joke about what my grandfather did to me, whether it's a joke or not, doesn't change its impact and isn't context that makes anything better. If anything, it makes it a little worse. It's not really any different here. Kaden was making a joke, sure. You can say that, but it's still the same actions. The action
I'm not excusing I know, I'm not excusing the behavior. That's not what I'm trying to do. That's not what I'm saying. He knows it was wrong. He apologized for the behavior. That's not the point of argument here.
Okay. I'm going to
It's a different. Okay, go ahead.
So your statement is you think that because the fact that it was not a joke, or not, it was not mentioned that it was a joke, was not put into the video, that it paints this in a more sinister light.
I think he should have played the entire clip.
Okay, you can.
To be honest.
Sorry.
That's a fair argument. I don't disagree.
Someone please tell me I'm wrong in saying that he should have played the entire clip.
I'm not. My
If
point.
anything, after seeing the entire clip itself, I feel like, honestly, the clip itself made it look even worse from what I've been seeing of it.
JC, you are roboting. We can hear you, but you're roboting.
I could tell that they were saying that the clip makes it worse. I would also like to chime in. I'm not entirely sure if the context of it being a part of a broader conversation is necessary, given that the conversation it stemmed out of was, oh yeah, this person made a good video. You know who makes a good video? This person. And then it extends into a joke that went past someone's boundaries and continued to go against their boundaries. I'm not, like, realistically speaking, it's not really tied to the conversation. It's like if the conversation is a straight line, it's a branch coming off of it that, realistically speaking, could have stemmed from anything said in like a complimentary manner.
Okay, and we'll see if people view it that way. I just don't think they would.
Well, whether the thing is, like, from what I recall from seeing that section, it is not that Chuli is making claims that Kaden tried to groom them or tried to seduce them in any way. It is essentially coming down to, this is a problem in these spaces. Kaden did this issue, as an example of the problem in these spaces, because it is a problem. Let's not kid ourselves. Carmen Writer still exists. And it literally said, Kaden apologized, took some breaks off their social media to reflect. That's, so far, everything that has been listed has been confirmed as accurate. It's unpleasant. It's certainly uncomfortable, but it is accurate. Just like when people tell me you bullied a disabled girl for 8 hours or for 4 hours, it's uncomfortable. I hate that I did it, but it's accurate. You got to own it, and you've got to swallow it, and you've got to move on and be better. And that's okay. You're giving.
No, I get. I completely
get
get that. I completely get that. He's owned it. He's apologized for it. No one was arguing that. It's fine. I'm honestly done talking about that now.
Okay. So.
Because this is kind of falling on deaf ears a little bit. I'm again. We'll see how people view it, but I'm willing to wager a little bit that it won't be viewed that way. That's just my 2 cents. You can take that for what you will.
It's too late, but I'm just. I'll say this. My big concern is I just want to make sure everybody understands that who I am now is not who I was back then. If I had to be selfish and ask and say that.
If I thought you were still running around having these conversations, you and I would not be talking.
It's true. Just no. I care for the safety of the people around me. I'm also more concerned for Blaze's. I'm just gonna say this to you, babe. I'm worried for you because you're taking this more personally than I am right now.
Frankly, what I think you two should do is take the weekend off, take Blaze on a date, you'll have fun. Think about it. That's all you really got to do.
We live in 2 different states.
Well, doggone it!
We have been for 8 years.
I am going to lose my mind.
Holy shit. Holy shit, tomorrow it's 8 years.
Holy shit, what?
Y'all got together on my birthday?
What the hell? Has it really been that long?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Congrats.
Y'all are gay.
What can I say? I love her.
Oh, good. I will ask Ponder real quick. Ponder, during Chuli making this video, did Chuli ever ask you for a link to this stream?
Chuli already had it.
Okay. It is strange it wasn't included then. Oh. Very odd.
Well,
I sorry. Go ahead, Ponder.
I think the reason it wasn't included, and I could be wrong, I could maybe voice this by Chuli, but I think it has to do with the thing that Chuli talked about immediately after talking about the clip, was that the V Omega screenshots were showcased without their permission behind their back and in a video that they had no say in, and that has continued to circulate over the years. I think it might be a matter of Chuli wanting some level of control in choosing whether or not she wants embarrassing situations where she felt wronged being out there. I think not sharing that clip is her choice in that regard.
There's also the idea that you voiced earlier of Chuli wanting to protect you because they didn't mention you in these sections, and obviously putting this clip in there kind of removes any of that. So that's
I was going to say the same.
So okay.
I think I know that she specified that I was high off my ass. That was a common thing with streams back at that time.
Yeah.
I'm heavily debating whether or not to say the thing that I want to say, but I don't know.
Do you want to run it by me in DMs?
I kind of can't. I mean, well, so, okay. Ponder, during the time Keaton was at her worst, when she was in the absolute throes of her suicidal ideation, there were times where you were in calls with her, and there was a bunch of people in there with her trying to calm her down, and then immediately after, we were in one-on-one calls with Julie. I have to know what those were about. Because I can't just see that and act like that was fine.
Wait. What?
One-on-one calls in the sense that you were in your server, hanging out. In your server, you were hanging out with Julie and only Julie.
When did this happen?
It would be back
Earlier
in
this
April.
year.
That'd be back in April.
Of this year?
Yes.
Yes.
I
I have to know what this was about. Okay, more specifically, I have to know. What part of Heaton's struggle were you detailing to her? Because I feel like if that was the case, that was in very poor taste. It probably wasn't, because I wasn't there.
What struggle?
The suicidal thoughts and...
Yeah, it sounds as though Keaton was dealing with a lot of ideations at the time.
I wasn't sharing that with Julie.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all.
I wouldn't think she would.
Well...
I have to ask, okay?
The extent of what I voiced to Julie was when someone else brought things to my attention and asked me to step in and talk to Julie. And I said, hey, maybe calm down. I don't think Heaton's doing very well right now. And I was asked to do that by Susie and maybe 2 other people. I don't.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, Julie was still tweeting about it at the time, repeatedly.
Yes, and one of those days, Susie came to me and said, hey, can you get Julie to calm down? And I went to Julie and said, hey, you should probably take a break. I don't think Heaton's doing very well.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
I don't talk to people about other people's private mental health stuff that they haven't personally shared with them. That's not cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to know.
I was also not intimately aware of Heaton's ideation, and I prefer to stay far away from that topic.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
that is true.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's...
Let's try not
drop
to,
it.
Well,
Yep.
Can we just not assume the worst of each other?
But,
like going forward, please.
I had to ask because it was on my mind, and it had been for several months. And because I'm gonna be honest, this was kind of the root cause of the mistrust.
that you thought I was sharing that Heaton was...
I didn't know what was going on. I just didn't think it was in good taste at the time, especially with how quickly it happened. Like, it wasn't even like a day or so afterwards. It was like within the hour. And that part made me feel pretty icky, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I haven't been on Twitter for most of the year.
You're doing yourself a favor.
Good call. I'm sorry to everyone in this call. This was my decision to come in here about this stuff. And I don't want this to be over everybody's heads and the like. It's just, this is a lot to take in, especially after the week I've been having. I've just been having a rough week, and I did not like, all this was dropped onto me last minute in a call with Uh, I don't know.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I straight up had a panic attack at work. Like, I was not okay.
Goodness.
And it's my new job, and I can't afford to lose it. And
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Blaze.
no, I'm just, I feel I need to say this. Because if I don't, it's gonna fester. And it's gonna sound really, really volatile, but it does kind of need to be said. I am in a position, and Ponder, I did leave your server. I left a bunch of spaces. I'm the kind of person that when I lose trust in someone, it's very, very difficult to build that back. I don't know if that can be built back, but as of now, I have to be upfront. I have not been comfortable around you since that group call with Kaden happened. I have not been able to trust you a lot of the time since that happened. And I don't know if I will or if I can. Maybe sometime down the line. But as of right now, it's very high strung with me.
What did Ponder do in that call?
I don't think that's the point.
It's not the point. Okay, this entire situation, the way things were handled, the way everyone went behind each other's backs, the way I was left out of several different details and several things, I did not appreciate it. I wasn't okay with it. And now suddenly I have people tagging me in this. Like, hey, did you know?
Clarification's sake, Julie told me about the situation after she had talked to Clown about it. I offered to get into a call, or get her into a call with Kaden so they could discuss it. We had the call.
With Clown Teeth as well.
Yes. And then, because Clown Teeth was there for moral support. And then you and I and Kaden got into the call. That is the extent of my involvement in that regard. Julie told me it happened. I went back and I checked things to see that it happened. I offered to help mediate things. I understand the lack of trust, and I'm not trying to, like, 100%, I am not trying to be all like, oh, you shouldn't distrust me because blah blah blah. You have, like, it's fine. I get it. I had similar issues a few years ago with a good chunk of the community, and it's been a process trying to open myself back up in that regard. So I get it. I'm just trying to be open about, this is the extent of my involvement. This is how it was explained to me. This is what I did.
Okay. Do we have anything else?
I understand that.
Do we have anything else that needs to be covered right now? Hello?
Oh,
Is there anything else?
Yeah.
I could also specify that I had no involvement in the video. Julie asked me if I wanted to be involved. I said no.
Yep.
Is there anything else
Alright.
for anybody?
I have nothing else regarding all this, no.
Blaze was about to say something.
No, I was just gonna say that clarifies a lot,
Yeah,
and I
literally,
appreciate that Ponder said that.
until right now, I hadn't watched the video because I'm not gonna.
It came out before you woke up today, so yeah, I
No,
understand why.
I knew it was coming out. It's not that I didn't have plans to watch it potentially at some point. sorry, I've been returning to thoughts that I would prefer not to be in the state of, and I've been avoiding certain things as a result of that.
Right.
So I've been disconnected.
No, I understand. And that's honestly, you take care of yourself. I mean that actually.
Yeah. That's... we
Like,
appreciate you coming in.
despite whatever we have, yeah, I'm just saying, despite whatever we have, it's irrelevant. You need to be taking care of yourself, and I hope you are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all we can really cover right now. So I need to go watch a movie, and
Yeah.
we'll catch the rest of you later, okay?
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Lio, and thank you everybody who came in. I apologize for the intrusion.
And you
I'll,
two, enjoy your anniversary tomorrow. That's an order.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's also important. Please
That's
celebrate.
So,
I am gonna make this known. I think it would be best for me not to be in the server anymore. Because, for starters, I'm not even part of the commentary community. It makes no sense for me to be here.
Okay.
Understandable.
And second, I just think it would be best for my mental health not to be in here.
You gotta take care of yourself
That's
first.
fair.
Understandable.
We'll be in contact.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you need anybody, I believe you're still in contact with Amity. I can always ask her what's up if necessary. So
Yeah,
like I said,
Amity's, yeah.
yeah.
All right.
I am gonna leave the server as well. JC, I'll get whenever I make the comment, I'll give you the copy pasta of it and let you, if you can forward it into here. It's like, this is my statement type thing. That's about it.
Yeah.
Speaking of things I've had asked to be passed on to other people, Lio, can you, if you haven't already, check your DMs for me on your
I've
other
read it.
account?
I'll respond to it when I've processed some things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Liv
Alright.
just wanted me to make sure you saw it.
I saw. All right. I'll be in contact if anybody needs me.
And
My
JC,
DM's always
I also,
Thank you, Lio.
yeah. And JC, I just want to say that I am sorry for blowing up earlier.
Honestly,
Like,
with
that
how
was-
it looked, you've had every right to.
It was really shitty.
Really.
Alrighty. Well, if that's taken care of, we can all head off and enjoy the rest of our evening.
Y'all take care of yourselves. Have a nice meal. Pet your fluffy fur babies if you have them.
Yeah.
Just chill. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Later. So yeah, the response was not to own his actions, but for him and his partner to shove blame and act like they were the ones that were wronged. There was a second call not too long afterwards where they did essentially the same thing, but also started talking about how they may take legal action against Chuli. Good luck with that one. You can't sue someone for telling the truth about you. This call I did not record. Not only because I was at work at the time, but also because it was in a server of a friend and I'll honor a rule against leaking in general. My only exception is when the person is a danger. So no, Blaze, I'm not a snake. I chose to do what's right regardless of your personal opinion or investment. Your partner acted inappropriately around someone despite knowing they were underage, and despite repeated requests by the individual in question for him to stop. And it seems he's more interested in portraying himself as a victim as opposed to owning this. Hence why he claims there's a harassment campaign against him. Zero self-awareness there. Kaden, I want you to know that all you had to do was own what you did without caveat, and this call wouldn't be public. This is all on you, and only you. Deal with it. On to the next guy. This is Michael Schomes. He had some troublesome behavior brought to my attention in late 2023. This included things like trauma dumping on children and trying to get them to cover topics they had no business doing. I'll admit, I didn't act the best in this call, especially reflecting 2 years out, or nearly 2 years out at this point. Recognizing my own triggers has been a journey for me, and one of them is when adults harm kids. I should have had more patience in the call, but the escalation that happened here was due to worse behavior being brought up. That being said, here's the call. Hello, Michael. Can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So,
Yeah.
let me go ahead and give you the rundown here. There's some behavior you have shown.
Kirby, to me.
I'm going to try this again. There's some behavior you have shown.
My apologies.
Oh my god. First thing we're going to cover is call etiquette. That means when somebody else is talking, you be quiet. Okay? Alright. You have been exhibiting some behavior that is very troublesome for somebody your age. So, I have some very basic questions I feel I need to ask first here. Okay?
Okay.
Firstly, how old are you?
33. Turned 33 in December.
Alright. So, a few things have been brought to my attention. I often go by the moniker of LioConvoy. You've probably seen me bopping around Doodle Tones area of the community, dealing with all sorts of morons, idiots, and otherwise ne'er-do-wells. I am hoping this conversation with you will simply be corrective action, so that you can cease these behaviors and go about your business without causing more trouble. Do you understand that?
Yes, I'll do whatever it takes to, make sure something like this doesn't happen again.
You
know,
don't even know what you've been.
Don't do that.
You don't
again.
even know what you've been brought in here for, do you?
Yes,
Yes.
I was told I was trauma dumping, and I want to apologize for that.
Okay, tell me what trauma dumping
And
means.
I mean, I looked it up like a day or two before, and essentially it means like you tell somebody like not just something you're not comfortable with, but like trying to word it the best I can. So I apologize.
Let's try it this way. Give me an example of you trauma dumping on somebody.
Probably when I talked to Pepper, I believe that's. I apologize if I misgender. I swear I don't do it on purpose. Is it he or they? I mentioned what I thought was the main reason why Azu is not online much.
And why would that be?
They. Okay, thank you for the correction.
And why would that be?
Well, about 2 years ago, her dad passed away, so.
Okay, and why did you think that it was important to tell this minor that?
I'm not doing the pause to try to irk you or anything. It's the kind of thing where you do the classic expression like an okay idea, but hindsight being 2020, I shouldn't have done that.
Okay, explain to me why it was wrong to do it.
Obviously they're a minor,
Do you actually know why?
Whatchamacallit, trying the best to word it, but
Here,
they'll let you
let's try this.
say it.
Let's try this. Is this information Pepper asked for? That's a yes or no question. Is this something that Pepper specifically asked for?
No.
Okay. Then why did you feel the need to tell them? Did Pepper even bring up this person at any point?
They were mentioning in the acronym server, why, she's not active much.
Okay. And you felt the need to go to this minor and tell them about this individual's family problems, yes?
Yes.
Alright, so I'm going to explain to you why you shouldn't do that.
And I'll never do it again.
That's not what I asked you to say. Don't get ahead of yourself.
I know.
Then,
but
okay, then if you know, then hush. Because one thing I'm not going to do today, because I have had it with having to do this with multiple people. I'm not here to listen to anime speeches. I'm not here to hear you castigate yourself. We're not doing that. I have no patience for it.
I'm not intended to.
I told you when you entered here, call etiquette. Listen. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so you can listen twice as much as you talk. So listen. I am trying to be as proper and polite with you as I can be. But if you continue to interrupt, jump the gun, go on long-winded speeches, or, God forbid, try to give me the answer you think I want, instead of, in some cases, just telling me you don't know, I will lose that temper very quickly. I am tired, it has been a long day, and I'm not interested in dragging this on for 3 hours. I'm just not. So tread carefully. The reason why you shouldn't do that is you do not know what the minor is capable of handling, especially with a heavy topic as somebody else's family members dying. Now, that might seem a bit, a bit much, maybe a little bit too bitty, but they did not likely want to know if this random person they probably don't even know personally had a death in the family. And that's not the only thing you've done. What trauma dumping is giving people a bunch of personal information about you, in the negative, of course, that they did not ask for or consent to. If I vent to somebody, I'm going to check with them first to see if it's okay. Because putting that emotional burden on them without their consent is unacceptable. And it's even worse when it's kids. Because you're closer to my age than you are Pepper's age. Because I'm 38. When you and I were in school, we didn't have the burden of the internet and a social life therein bogging us down. We didn't have a bunch of weirdos making videos on us that were twice our age. We didn't deal with that stressors. These kids do. So do not put this stuff on them. Do not tell them intimate, bad, or any details about your life. You are 33 years old, you have a caretaker in your mother, and you have friends that are closer to your age that you could confide in, were you to get proper consent to do so. And I understand that you are on the spectrum, and that means that you may not pick up on social cues, so I'm being extremely blunt with you here. If at all possible, you are 33 years old. There are times I have to communicate with children, but I do not in any way, shape, or form approach any topics even close to what you have with these people. You, by all means, should not by nature be in their DMs at all if you can help it. The only times I am is when they need help with something, because I'm an adult and that is the proper place for me to be for them if they need help. They are not my friends, they are not my compatriots, they are not my compadres, they are not my amigos. They're children, and they are to be kept separate as best as possible. There's a reason why this server is 18+. The only reason Pepper's in here, because Pepper specifically is somebody you've dumped on, and they have a right to be here for that. You're an adult, and I expect you to act like it. Because if we have to come back here, it will not be in a polite, kind, respectable manner. It will not be corrected behavior. I will personally find a way to drag you out of this community. Not because I think you're a horrible human being or a predator or of any sort, but because if you are to the point to where you refuse to recognize how and when children should be spoken to, it is unacceptable and you should not be in these circles. Which leads us to the next issue. Now, I'm going to allow these individuals that have aught with you to come on and talk to you for a little bit when I'm done here. A little bit. And to those of you listening to me, I don't want it to be an hour each. And I do not need you guys repeating the same points the previous people did. And I will monitor that because we can't continue doing that. One thing you did that is unquestionably morally repugnant and unacceptable is when you go to a child, and tell them that they should do a video on a convicted child predator. Now, I want you to tell me why that's wrong.
I got no words. I feel.
I didn't ask. I didn't ask for your feelings. I asked for you to explain to me why it was wrong to do that.
Same reason you mentioned, and it'd be in a sense, kicking a dead horse.
I said
No pun
I said
intended.
nothing about kicking a dead horse. Horses weren't mentioned at all. I'm not Vosh. So I'm going to try this again. And I want you to answer it. If you don't know, just say you don't know. Don't waste our time. Tell me why it was wrong for you to request the child to do that.
I don't know.
Okay, so I appreciate the honesty. I will walk you through this once. So pay attention. A child should not ever be required to discuss a convicted child predator unless they are the victim of it and they are in a court of law giving a testimony or doing something in relation to getting justice. Ethically. What you did, if that kid had listened to you, is you could have put that kid in the crosshair of other predators, because I promise you that person has defenders. And I promise you predators always travel in more than one group. They're always around each other. You could have put that kid in harm's way. These are topics adults are to cover. It is a fate chosen by men, not put on children. That is why it's unacceptable. You do not ask children to cover criminals of any sort, much less sexual criminals who prey on children. That puts them in the line of fire. And frankly, I'm going to be a little bit of a prude here. These kids shouldn't even be dealing with that stuff at all. And I don't just mean like kids, obviously we don't want them preyed upon, but they shouldn't have to involve themselves in that at all. They should enjoy their childhoods. They should... A teenager's concerns should be schoolyard crushes and doing their exams. Not this. It's an awful thing to put on a child. It's an awful thing to make them look into. I'm 38 years old and it murders my soul that I've been at for 5 years. That's why it's wrong. Do you understand?
Yes, I didn't even think of that.
No, I'd imagine you didn't. Your caretaker needs to monitor your internet activity, to be completely blunt with you. And I'm not saying that because I hate you or because I think you're a horrible person or that you're stupid. I mean that because if you could not tell that basic moral line, there's a problem here. Okay? So, here's what we're going to do. Time to scroll up. So, what I'm going to do is Mr. A. I'm going to bring Mr. A on. They're going to talk to you. Okay?
Okay.
Alright, so I'll start by saying this is smaller in the grand scheme of things, but it's something that multiple people, including myself, wanted to talk to Schomer about. Because it is, we personally feel it's kind of an issue with him. But anyway, so Schomer, I'm just gonna call you Schomer. So a lot of us are familiar with the fact that you have had conversations with a lot of voice actors, particularly of Funimation's lineup, and you've, to my knowledge, you have talked to these voice actors about various things involving you in the community.
Long time ago, yeah.
Right. And you've said several times, now my memory of this could be hazy, so correct me if I'm wrong, but you've stated that these guys are your friends, or at the very least you value their opinion on what you bring to them, right?
Acquaintances, yeah.
Right. So, from what several people have witnessed when you have mentioned it, it does seem like you are putting a lot of weight on the opinion of people who probably have no idea the full story of what was going on in those situations. And that seems to be a bit of a problem, right?
That was directed to you, Michael.
Yeah.
In fact, I would dare to say that maybe there's a little bit of parasociality going on there.
Probably not intentionally, but
Well, parasocial isn't usually intentionally. Like it's like the preconceived like notion that because you've interacted with someone who has a bit of presence online, or a celebrity, if you will, that they're like your friend or something like that. And you may not necessarily see them as friends, but I have a lot of weight on their opinions about this stuff. Like several conversations I remember having with you, you've talked about a thing that happened with you in the community. You've mentioned that you talked to these voice actors about it, and then you went on to explain their opinions about it, if I recall correctly. Is that correct?
yes.
That is a bit of a problem because, again, these voice actors are, again, voice actors. There's like they're people in a completely different space than the rest of us. They most likely do not know the full story, and I don't want to say this is something against you specifically, but like obviously know the full story if it's just you telling them, right? So there may be some things you're missing, either unintentionally or intentionally, that they're basing their opinion of it off of. I apologize if this is a little long-winded. I promise I'll wrap this up. That it's a bit of a problem, and that's something you need to be more aware of moving forward. That you gotta not hold their very likely skewed opinion on what you tell them as end all be all, and even more so, like acting like people in the community should care about what these VAs have to say in regards to what you say to them about this stuff.
I'll do the best I can for the future. I promise.
All right. In that case, I am done. I don't know if like Autumn or whatever wants to add to that, but I personally am done now.
All right.
I know Horace has got a lot to say.
All right, we're going to bring Horace up next simply because they've got the most to say. Whomst has messaged me on the book face. Ah.
Okay. This is a little unnerving since it's the first time I'm in this, so forgive me if I kind of fumble a bit. So, just to be clear, I am Horace. I'm a member of Fox, and Michael here has had this, like, grudge against me for, I think, about nearly 8 years because of things that had happened, like around 2016, I think. To be clear about what that is, what happened was that Michael would... there was an instance in Fox where Michael would try to get us to make a video on JAR. And needless to say, it made us like very uncomfortable to want to tackle something like that. And then came the Donimation here could vouch for me. He was one of the people that Michael Schomer first trauma dumped to way back in 2016, which is what led us to vote and kick him out. he wanted.
Yeah.
He told me that he wanted to speak to the members of Fox about his whole thought process during that situation. So I let him in to explain himself, but I guess for some reason, Michael thought that we were gonna re-add him back into the group, but I only brought him in just to simply explain himself, and then I would remove him after he did so, because I don't think anybody from I'm not sure if anyone from Fox back in the day really wanted him back in the group. So that is when Michael began his extreme dislike towards me and specifically. And he would tell many people over the years about how terrible I am, how he was unrightfully removed from Fox. And he did this every freaking time. To find out that he had been doing that since last year just baffles me. Genuinely. In fact, I remember around the time during my situation in 2019 was when of course I was falsely accused of very pedophilic actions. They were false, as Susie demonstrated in her video explaining the situation. But around that time was when Michael tried to make it all about himself. Yeah, like he was trying to say about oh man, if you think George Raccoon is bad, then you should hear about what he did to me. It was one of the things I remember seeing before my mom told me to delete my Twitter for the sake of my mental health.
Horace, how old are you, just for the record?
I'm 28.
Okay. And what horrific abuse did you allegedly put Michael here through? And I want Michael to tell me. Michael, what did he do? Tell me.
It kind of felt like outcasting, back then I had a colossal meltdown. So I wasn't in the right state of mind. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was legitimately in an inpatient program for days. And, I was, what I thought the deal was back then was I would want to be back in or not. And if not, then, I would have been at least I had that time to show that I got better. So what happened there, I remember various people talk behind my back on the vent Twitters, And the thing from 2019, I remember asking many people back then, should I come forward, with what happened,
So hold on.
I came forward.
In what way were you ostracized?
Just, not many people would talk to me. I would,
Why?
Want to, prove I got better.
Why did they not want to talk to you?
Back. Just previous attitude. Back then, I was,
okay, let me try this again.
Kind of toxic.
Let me try this again. I do not like vagary. What I like is people answering my question. And if I ask a coworker, what did you do at this point in time? If they just respond with work, that tells me nothing. So let's try this again. What did you do to cause these people to not want to be around you?
First thing that comes to mind is just being, unpleasant.
If you get
not trying to be vague, it's just
that is being vague. Give me an example of you being unpleasant.
Back then, if they mentioned Susie's name, I would blow up essentially.
So you were being a dickhead.
Oh yeah, I remember why you told.
Go ahead, Susie.
Yeah, I remember why. Yeah, I remember exactly the reason you gave me as to why you would do that. You were, what was it? Jealous that I was getting attention for the Medicare stuff?
What a thing to be jealous about.
I don't know. No, it was just like the jar thing, for example. Had my own drama back then that it seemed like people couldn't give less of a shit about, you know. And then you had the doodle thing with what was it? Your video on TP's Chaos Key, was it? Like the video that made her a bandwagon. It seemed like that's all people focused on.
Okay.
You know, when Odd wasn't.
So
you know,
it was because
pure anarchy.
So it was because you didn't get what you thought was sufficient attention, and you were being a jerk to people over it. Yes.
Pretty much.
Cool. So you know what that means?
No.
It means it was because of your actions. And your choice, when you saw people were choosing to distance themselves from you and boo-hoo back chatter about you on Twitter, which, buddy, don't ever step in my shoes then, was to, melt down to voice actors and other random people? Really? How old were you at this time?
Back at 20. See here, I would have been same age he's at now when it was 2019. The intent I had back then was talking to people outside the figurative bubble.
You did. Hold on.
Situation.
No. Because I do not think what you did is what you're trying to tell me you did. Because you see, what you're trying to communicate to me is the idea that you went to these people to perhaps get a second opinion from somebody outside the bubble. But that's not what you did, is it? It's not actually what you did. What you actually did was you went there and you gave them an extremely one-sided story, pitting yourself as the outcast. Yes? Was that a yes I heard?
Yeah.
So, you go to voice actors. Do you even know these people? Like, know them?
I don't really talk to them much anymore, so...
That's a yes or a no? So was it a yes or a no? Did you know them?
I don't know them personally.
Okay. So...
Shomes, if I may, real quick, there was a whole thing. Remember, you were trying to talk to frickin' Monica Rial on Twitter, trying to tell people, "Oh yeah, we're friends." Like, I was there, dude. I was tagged and stuff like that. Like, you got really weird with some voice actors, dude.
This is so doggone stupid. Not that what you've done is dumb in the sense that, like, we shouldn't even be discussing it. I mean, as in every action that I've been told about and that you've discussed with me here so far is so unbelievably stupid. There's a phrase Aaron Tempest uses, like, you couldn't get the FBI to waterboard that out of me. You couldn't get that out of me, save literally God himself telling me to tell them. Did you do it because you thought you'd tell an important person and maybe they speak up for you? Because you like them and therefore they're going to fight the fight for you? Is that what you wanted? Did you just want empathy from these people that you look up to?
I didn't want them to fight my figurative battles.
So you wanted empathy from them. Strangers. That you fed one side of a story to, and I'm sure you omitted your egregious actions from, because let's be honest, that's what most people do. So instead of proving to this community that you had changed by your actions, which, if there's one thing I want everybody listening to understand, deeds, not words. The Bible calls it meat fit for repentance, meaning that you have shown that you are sorry for what you've done via your actions, because words mean nothing. I could sit here and tell you all day I'm the King of England, doesn't mean I am. And frankly, based on what I've been told so far, it doesn't seem like your actions have changed all that much. It's just that you decided to pick new targets. Didn't mean to interrupt too much, Horace, but I wanted to make sure I got that on record. You can continue now.
No, it's perfectly fine. I've seen here and there about how like he'd been telling people about what had been going on, and I want to bring up that there was a potential moment where he could have talked to me directly, but he chose not to, because a couple of years ago I was in a server in Artemi Musha's game server, and not once does Michael directly like talk to me in that, nor does he send a DM to clear up the air. And he still continues wanting to tell random people about how I wronged him.
And that's modern day, yes?
I think in a
Yes.
that server's long since gone, I'll add, but I think I tried in a previous server he made, and I believe it was Morgan, told me you vent tweeted that you wanted nothing to do with me, so that's why I didn't say anything.
Psycho Spartan, you're not SEC, so I'm going to go ahead and disconnect you. So, if you knew this person wanted nothing to do with you, why would you continue to try to talk to them?
After Morgan said that, I never tried talking to him.
Why did you feel the need to talk about him?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do. If this was something from years ago, like, I might accept I don't know at this point. Because let's be honest, sometimes people don't always remember their motivation, especially years out. Heck, I can't even sometimes. So I've learned to cut people slack over that. But this was recent.
Yeah.
Do you have problems with your memory, Michael?
Yes.
What's your favorite cartoon?
I do sometimes.
What's your favorite?
Too many to name, to be honest.
Pick one.
I guess Avatar.
You could
just name one off the top of my head.
And if I were to ask you why you like it, you could probably tell me, couldn't you?
I could probably try my best.
So you retain that. But something that has happened recently you can't retain. It's very odd. So I'm going to go ahead and give my game theory on what I think it was. I think that you just want to tell people and convince them that you're not the bad guy in these situations. Whoever you think will listen. Seems to be an ongoing issue in this community. That's what I think. This is unfortunately going very quickly from corrective action to me actually getting angry. Because, see, the truth of the matter is I wasn't able to read the entire thread that people had put together on you to prepare for this call. I haven't had the time because I'm a man who works a lot, and I juggle a lot of stuff. So that's one reason why I'm requiring these people to come up and talk to you, is so they can talk about things, so I can give them the space to do so, but the more and more I'm hearing, the less I'm inclined towards corrective action, and more I'm inclined to just destroy you verbally. And I'm choosing not to at the moment, because other people haven't gotten the chance to speak yet. So, Horace, please continue.
Okay. I will say though, Michael, I don't know why you want to keep holding this grudge against me for this long. I don't know why you want to continue insisting that I'm one of the worst people in your life, and why you want to continue this for so long. Like, I don't think of you every single day of my life. I try to just enjoy my time with my friends. With the people that wronged me, like, many years ago, I don't let them fester into my mind. Why do you continue to do so?
Good question.
It is a good question. We'd appreciate it if you would just answer it.
I guess, feel like the sense of payback, it feels like, And what I mean by that is, like, you get hospitalized for, nearly killing yourself. People saying, like, you faked it or doing it for attention or whatever was worded, you want to prove that you got better. And all I get is, like, is that all you have to say?
Okay. Let me go ahead and put a pin in something real quick. Firstly, if that did happen, I am sorry. I am.
It did.
Because I'm not done.
The only reason why it failed.
That is stop. Stop. Number 1, call etiquette. Number 2, trauma dumping. I did not consent to you to tell me about the details of why it failed. That's exactly what I was talking about. So I'm going to continue. I am sorry if people put you in the position to claim that you were faking it, because that is awful. And that is unacceptable unless they have solid proof. Indo, why don't you go ahead and hop out? This is only for SCC people. Thank you. Of course, they can't hear me now. However, you trying to force onto them the idea that you have changed, consistently breaking their boundaries for apparently 8 years, is unacceptable. This is consistent patterns of behavior you have been going on for 8 years. In the past 8 years, I have changed jobs a few times. I've gotten married. I got a house, a career. You've been having meltdowns over a small community that you could have completely avoided. It's embarrassing. I know part of that's because you're on the spectrum, and I'm not going to hate on you for that. I care very deeply about people who struggle like that. I do. One reason why I haven't so far raised my voice to you in anger. That's probably going to change if this keeps up, though. But while I am sorry to hear that you went through that, genuinely, the way you have responded, apparently, is horrific. It's not acceptable. And the fact that you didn't even have the wherewithal to realize that you were doing in this very call what I told you at the very beginning is not okay is definitely a problem. So, to be clear, unless they give you consent, do not tell people about attempts, because you don't know who you're going to trigger, and I'm not stupid. I know people in the SEC, quite a few of them have mental health issues, and it can trigger them into that type of ideation, and I will not allow that here. And you are 33, you should know better. Unacceptable. Unacceptable behavior. Horace, what else you got?
I think I spoke everything I needed to say to him.
All right, why don't you go ahead and hop off, and we're going to go ahead and bring... Who's next? I think it's Pepper. And then Kohai.
He's
Sure
Pepper,
thing.
I got him. I got him. I can do it. I promise. Oh. Uh-oh. I figured it out. No, wait. No, I didn't. Wait, yeah, I did. I'm Big Hit, I promise. Is Pepper A-okay?
Possibly, so let's bring Kohai
Oh, no.
on for now.
Okay, I can do it.
Oh,
Yay.
all right. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, there is a bit of echo, I think.
Oh, that's coming from Schomer's end.
Oh.
Okay.
Could you do push to talk so there's no echo?
Trying to look for the thing.
Okay.
I'm using a microphone built into the laptop, so...
I know. What I'm saying is, could you please push to talk?
The only thing I can do is just either mute or,
Well,
exit.
then, okay. Well, then mute.
Okay.
I don't care. I don't care how you do it. Just do it, please. I don't need the back talk. Thank you.
Okay. God, where do I fucking start? Shit. So it's already been established that this has been happening for 8 years. I just wanted to highlight a moment with me in particular at first. So when I was 16 in 2016, I'm 23 now. I was in a call with Schomer, and I believe with Amity, if I remember correctly. This is pretty shaky for me. Oh, Pepper's here. Good. Do you want me to
Pepper can
still
talk after
continue,
you.
or do you want me to...
You're already talking. Pepper can talk after you.
Okay. And from what I remember, it was about a script that we were making for a Foxcom. And something occurred to where Schomer said that he had to be right back. What he forgot to do was he forgot to turn off his mic. And I remember a relative came in. It probably was his mom, and I don't remember. But I remember it was a very distressing to sit through. And despite how many times we tried to get Michael's attention, we couldn't seem to get it. And so we were just kind of sat there and called because we didn't want to leave him. And I heard him break down crying in front of me. And I didn't know how to take it. And this happened for a good couple of minutes. I don't remember how long. But after that, it just kind of like devolved into just more trauma dumping in call. It just... I assume that was a massive meltdown that he had. Just one of those. But I want to say that this is something that I think you need to understand, is that ever since then, and especially with my more of my other experiences with people like Vivian, Channel Grey, for those who are not aware, is that I have actually taken... It's taken a big, deep... Like, I was basically forced to be a therapist for people who are way older than me, and I had no idea what to do. And so I would legit just try to console as much as I could, and it just... It really left me with the point where I can't take people having suicidal ideation. I just tend to shut down. I don't know how to respond. I don't know what to say. And it just... I think you need to understand that these sorts of experiences on a child really messes with them. And I'm not the only one who has dealt with this. Habit as well, who's also in this call, and he's given me permission to talk about it. I remember him telling me about DMs that he and Schomer would have when he was also a minor. Let me see, let me go back. And he would constantly bring up asking, "Do you like me as a friend and don't want me to die?" That was something that was said in those DMs.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Are you telling me?
What?
Are you telling me that Schomer in
Yes.
his late 20s used you as an emotional punching bag and went on about his suicidal ideation in your DMs to get you to talk to him?
I don't remember if it was from me, because a lot of our conversations were strictly in Skype, and I have a hard time remembering. But I know Habit has DMs with him about this.
Michael, unmute.
And
Sholmes, unmute, please.
Michael, is this accurate?
I think that was my older brother.
Oh no, we are not doing that. We're not doing my.
No, I'm just getting that out of the way first.
I don't care.
But
shut it. I don't buy the my dad works for Microsoft nonsense. I don't buy the it was my brother that sent them. No, really, guys. I don't. I'm 38. I'm not stupid. Want to know why you thought it was acceptable to put that on a child? Because there's no way you didn't know that was wrong. And you better have a darn good reason.
I don't. I wasn't thinking.
Okay, so for those of you...
And I apologize.
For those of you who struggle with ideation and have the possibility of being triggered, I want you to deafen yourselves for a little bit. And I want you to type 2 in chat when you're done, so I don't do this.
I say I can read. I'm reading these screenshots. Dude. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Don't worry, everybody who wants to talk to him will be given a word. I'm not going to leave anybody out if I can help it, okay?
No, hey, I don't need to necessarily say anything in particular. It was mostly just a what the fuck. This is pretty absolutely.
I'm sorry.
I'm not.
I don't want to hear it.
I don't want to.
I still don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear it either, because here's the thing. How old were you again? Can somebody give me a rundown of how old this dork was in 2018? That was 6 years ago. You're 33 now.
I think that was 20.
You were no, this is 2018. I'm looking at the DMs now from Habit. If you did this to that individual in 2016, that means...
How old is Habit?
Habit, how old are you, kiddo?
Habit is a year younger than me. He's 22.
So a minor. Oh,
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Huh. So you've been doing this whole shtick for a while, because I know you have trauma dumped in my DMs.
Why are you...
But that was forever ago.
Why are you giving children hugs in DMs and asking them if they're happy you're still alive and talking about your suicidal ideation to them? I am not in the mood
I got nothing.
for silence, Michael.
I know you're not.
You clearly don't, because you're being...
I got nothing.
Oh, you got nothing. Was your mom not around, Michael?
Is there something you need to be telling us, Michael?
Michael, what?
I don't know.
No,
Hey.
no.
You know. Oh! Don't give me that.
Michael. So I'm going to ask you a very direct question. I want to know how far you've taken these types of conversations with kids. And you know what I'm asking when I'm asking that.
I didn't engage in any sexual with anyone here. I promise.
What do you mean with anyone?
Tell the truth.
What do you mean with anyone here? I asked you about children in general. I didn't say anything specific to SCC. I hate to tell you this, Michael. Actually, no, I don't. I love to tell you this. I don't care if it was SCC, LMNOP, QRSTUV. Have you ever had sexual communications with children in general?
No.
If I find out otherwise, Michael... You see, this is where I was talking about how at first I thought this would be a corrective thing, and it's quickly become more than that. I do not appreciate reading some 27-year-old weirdo in the DMs of 16-year-olds, putting their ideation on them and giving them hugs. This is not something the autism can excuse. This is not a misreading of social cues. This is you being a weird creep, putting your self-value in people you know are susceptible to your level of nonsense. Here's what you're going to do right now. You're going to mute again. And we're going to let Kohai finish. And when I tell you to unmute, you will answer me directly. You will not run around the barn. You will not give me vagary. And you will not try to anime speech or politician speech, or I will go for your throat. Do you understand me, yes or no?
Yes.
Mute. Kohai, please continue.
Thank you. I just wanted to add something that, real quick, before I move on to the next thing I wanted to talk about. I promise I'll be better. How many times have you said that now? In this call alone? Like 3, 4 times, maybe? This has been going on for 8 years. You've done this to so many minors. How long are you going to keep that up? How long are you going to actually do something? Fucking... Okay.
You need to take a minute. Don't feel bad if you need to.
Okay. Thank you.
You won't be judged here if you need to take a second.
I also want to ask, do you still hold the belief that Horace is a groomer?
That's a question, Shomes. It requires an answer.
Oh, sorry. No.
No. Okay. Because, as someone who was involved... Please mute. I can hear your echo. Thank you. As someone who was involved in that as a major component in that situation, I don't want to hear you say a word about Horace ever again. I made that mistake of falsely accusing Horace as a groomer. Because what I thought, and what I was told by people who actually groomed me, was that Horace was the problem, not them. Oh, not them. And they used that to weaponize me.
Oh my god, that's...
Any conversation I had with Horace, they used that to pin me against them. And as someone who has retracted both statements in back as far as 2022, I don't want to hear you anything about Horace. That point blank. Trying to think of what else to say. Yeah, I think the one thing I really want to hit home is that I want you to really recognize that this has a toll on the minors you trauma dump to. Habit, like I mentioned before, has a really hard time with really anybody trauma dumping, as well as just like fuck. Okay.
Take a second. Then nothing has to come out right away.
Okay. I think that's something that was mentioned before, is that minors don't really look at things in the long run. And they don't have the same capacity as adults do whenever it comes to these types of situations. If you really want to be better, I suggest you take that to heart and confide in people that you know.
Adults.
And adults, I should add.
Yes.
That, and confide in them instead. This is as recent as well regarding the Fox situation, as least recent as last month. And is also to another minor who is not in this call, unfortunately, to say her piece. I'm done. I'm fucking done.
Okay.
I'm done.
Pepper, you're up to bat.
I'd like to ask, Shums,
Pepper, you're...
even like before this call and even before like
There we go. Sorry, your mic sounded really weird for a bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm on my computer. Anyways, I'd like to ask Jones, like before this call, before I ever came to you in DMs, tell me about your weird, your girlfriend's problems, getting a divorce, all of these other things. Did anybody ever tell you that you shouldn't go up to strangers or like when your first interaction with any stranger ever is to not trauma dump on them. Just tell them a very personal thing about you. Did anybody ever tell you that? Like ever? Like that kind of
I don't think so.
advice? Really?
No.
Yes. But your whole life, you've never been told, oh, you shouldn't like go to a stranger, and the first introduction to you is to say something very personal about you. You know, make a good first impression. Nobody's ever told you that?
I've heard of don't talk to strangers, but yeah.
Well, this is stranger danger, but like first impressions, you know? Did anybody ever tell you that? Yes or no?
No.
How? How? Because I've been told that my whole life. Make good first impression, you know. Don't when you meet someone, when you first meet someone, don't just say something personal about you. Just try your hardest to them, but don't make it. That's what I've been told throughout my entire life. My entire life, since elementary school, even since I was in the womb, man. No one told you? Even your mother? Even your father? Even...
I never try to bring up online things with them, so...
It doesn't matter about online. It's basic...
It's a yes or no question.
It's basic common sense and common courtesy. Like, did your parents never any time pull you over and say, hey, don't tell random people XYZ thing about yourself? Because can't believe you for a moment that you didn't. But you know what?
It's also interesting that you...
Hold on.
It's also interesting that you give your...
Okay. We're probably harping on this too long, to be honest.
I was just going to say it's interesting that you're giving your parents the kind of respect you should be giving everybody else here.
Either way, your actions are improper, but continue, Pepper.
No, that's all I wanted to say, really. Also, just wondering, why... I don't know how to say it. But, why did you give Zemi this, when he was 17, this 9-paragraph essay, college type shit, about your little fox drama, the little fox drama that we were just talking about. When they were 17,
It's valid criticism indeed.
I don't recall that being directed towards you. If you are
I'm asking why.
hold on. If you are looking at the chat instead of directing your attention to the person speaking to you, I am about to become unhinged on you. Do you understand me, Michael?
Yes,
Then pay
I
attention to
understand.
Pepper before I snatch you up by what little sense you have and shake you. Continue, Pepper.
No question. Why did you do that? Why did you give that 9-paragraph essay to Zenny when they were 17?
I just thought, by talking it out, it would help. I didn't.
The 17-year-olds? Do you have friends in your age?
Real life, yes, but I rarely talk to them nowadays. And I don't bring up online things.
At that point, like you said, then there's like so many 30-year-olds out there. I've met so many in my life, you know what I mean? They're cool. Just saying, I don't think, again, it's not smart to like just go to a minor, doing this. Because personally, I don't believe it has been 8 years since you've been doing this. Because there's no way this is a major issue. For 8 years, I feel like there's more. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say.
You could build a fort with these paragraphs.
I will say that is very common. The distribution between other people's messages and his are drastic. No, Zenny is at the if these screenshots, yeah, he would have been 17 because he's a year younger than I am.
I have a question for the adults in the chat, and I want you to press 3 if it is. Has Michael ever trauma dumped on you? As adults. I want a 3 in the chat, please.
3.
Well, there's at least that good news is that you don't just target children. Because I would have become 12 different types of unglued if it was just children. Go ahead, Ellie.
I was gonna say he never did those hugs and suicide baiting in my DMs.
Okay. Those of you who are
I remember none of that ever happened.
Those of you who are adults, how many of you has he hugged in DMs? Hit a 4. Well, at least a couple of adults he's hugged.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's try this. Possibly, how many of you were minors that he hugged? Hit 5. This is embarrassing. I often joke that like kids need hugs, head pats, and chocolate milk, but you're not supposed to actually hug them through the internet. What the heck is wrong with you? Like seriously, what is wrong with you? Let's bring the next person on. Thank you for speaking, Pepper.
That would be Donnie. There you go. You should be able to talk.
Hello. Can I be heard?
Yep, you can. You're good.
Okay.
Sean, please mute.
So, thing is that it was briefly mentioned earlier by Horace, who I call Georgie. He said that I can vouch about why you were kicked from Fox but the reason for that is because it involved me. Because I don't have the screenshots because it was in Skype, and Skype is stupid and deleted my logs. But basically while I was 17, put me under pressure to help him, and he was snapping at me regarding his ideations, and I had a really bad meltdown in a call, and that was the final straw of Horace's decision to kick him. And it did affect me for a time because of how bad I melted down. I think it would affect me more if I didn't have more stuff going on at the time. But he did not take into account not only was I a minor at the time, but also I have always been open about this. I have been officially diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder because of a near-death experience. Do you remember that, Schomer?
I remember.
Okay, so if you remember why you were kicked, why are you surprised when people don't want anything to do with you if they saw my meltdown? I know you might bring up that I had accepted your apology later on, but I've come to realize that you later on, trying to convince me to ask Fox to let you go back in to talk to them, it feels in hindsight that you apologized to me to get back in people's good graces and not because you were genuinely sorry for causing a meltdown.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
I was generally sorry. I am.
She kept doing it.
Okay, my other question. If you are sorry now, and you were sorry back then, why is that a common detail for you to leave out when you're talking to people about the Fox situation? Because I know you might have claimed that you were affected, but so was I. And you were continuing that behavior to other people. I was 17. I had recently turned 17 when that happened. I am 24 now, and I have my own place. And I'm also on the spectrum, so that doesn't excuse it either. Do you have any words? Genuinely?
No. I got speechless.
Okay.
Seems to be a first.
I also want to point out that in the screenshots that were sent earlier about him describing situations, because that seems to be one of the few times he brought up what he did with me to get him kicked, he attempted to mention my legal name for no reason because I am trans, but he didn't even spell my legal name right.
Why did you want to use it?
And I don't know why you felt...
I want an answer to that. So Michael, unmute. Explain to me why you felt the need to use a trans person's dead name.
I don't know.
Don't tell me you don't know on this one, buddy. I've given you enough on that.
Is it because you thought Zenny wouldn't know who I was if you didn't say it? Because, number one, you didn't even spell it right. And number two, my username had already changed to Domination, and I was out as trans for 2 years at that point. Like, that was at the point where people I had first met only knew me by Donnie and not by my legal name.
Well?
There was obviously a reason why you did it when you did it.
Yeah, there was a reason why back then, but
I'm listening.
Don't remember.
Oh.
Oh, of course you don't. Of course you don't
Okay,
remember.
It was 2018.
Eh.
However, even then, I want to say, if I was already out for 2 years, and I had already been known as Donimation for that long, and Zenny probably hadn't joined the SCC yet, I don't understand why you thought that was important. Like, what were you feeling about that? Like, what was going through your head, like, in terms of how you felt when bringing me up?
Sorry, just, you know,
Just what?
What were you feeling when you decided to drop Donnie's dead name? Is a very easy question.
I thought I was going by name at the time.
That's not. What was that?
It was 2018. I was out. I had periods where I am okay with being called by my legal name. However, that wasn't a time. I hadn't done that until 2021. The screenshots were in 2018. I was trans on November 25th, 2016. Why? Okay. Why do you not have words when I'm speaking?
I just got nothing, you know.
You
got
have to have
nothing for me.
known how you were feeling at the time.
Yeah.
You got
So what were
nothing.
you feeling at the time?
I'm sorry.
Sorry is not an answer to the question you were asked. And I'm getting... Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and detail a problem I've had with literally every single one of you dorks that comes in here and causes trouble in this community. Every single blasted one of you really likes to shut your mouth or get belligerent when it's an AFAB person talking to you. You sure don't like showing them respect. You'll show it to me, you'll all but piss yourself when I talk to you. But God forbid an AFAB opens their mouth to you and asks you questions that you should be able to answer. Then suddenly either you're belligerent or you goons are always quiet. So that stops now with you. I'm sure I'll deal with it a billion other times. But I highly recommend you start showing these people the same amount of respect you attempt to show me here. Because, newsflash, I'm not on your side.
I know you're not.
Then I recommend you get some survival instinct. Start answering questions properly. I got nothing is not an answer for this. Because here's what I think. Here's my game theory since Matt Pat's retiring. One thing I do know about terminally online clowns like you, and let's make no mistake, that's exactly what you are. Because I'm gonna guess, Michael Schomer is your real name, isn't it?
Yes.
You see, one thing I know about people like you is that you take a little bit out of the book of demonology to where you think giving out somebody's real name is a power move. Even more so when it's a trans person. That's why you did it. because you knew it would cause them discomfort, and you knew it would cause them some level of fear having their legal name out there like that. Do not play these games with me, because here's the kicker: I use those tactics too. I just don't use them on trans people. I use them on scumbags like you. I know these methods. I know these tactics. That's why I know you're lying out of the other side of your face when you tell me you don't know why. Now tell me if I'm wrong. I'm all ears.
Sorry. Just screen read like
I don't care about the screen. You can hear me. Talk.
Yes, I'm. It's probably true. It's probably.
Probably? You have barely spoken to me this entire time, and you hurting me was the reason you got kicked out of Fox and held this grudge for nearly 8 fucking years.
Do you have any certainty in your life?
Oh, he's about to.
I'm very sorry for that, Don.
No, shut it. You're about to have some certainty in your life, because what is it that I'm seeing in the chat about you venting in another channel, in another server, while you should have your attention focused here? I don't recall anybody asking you to denote when you're gonna delete your Discord.
It's one I haven't used in a
Oh
long
my
time.
god, did I ask you if you used it a long time? Is that the question I asked you? Did I inquire upon you? Dear Michael Schomer, when did you use this last? No, that's not what I said. So again, amazing that you can answer when it's a man talking to you. Not used to having an authoritative male breathing down your neck? Is that your dysfunction?
I don't think so.
Michael, are you listening?
Yes.
What state do you live in, Michael?
What state? Illinois.
Now I'm asking you that for a reason. Why in the name of all that is godly am I seeing messages from you towards a 16-year-old not only requesting hugs, but wanting their real name, Michael?
First name basis.
Oh, first name basis. You need that for a kid on the internet. Well, here's the thing, Michael. My name's Thomas Guerra. I live at... Why don't you come pay me a visit?
I don't feel comfortable with long drives.
I promise you, you'd get the world of rest if you showed up. I promise you'd get a world of rest.
Oh my fucking god! Oh my fucking god! Hang on! We're backing the fuck up! Thank you, Umbris! Hang on, we're backing the fuck up!
I'm reading.
Yeah, I was about to say, are we about to bring up the A Child's Time anime?
Yeah! Feel free to tell Light what Kodomo no Jigan is about. Fucking... First of all, not surprised that Neko Shadows is, again, party to bullshit.
I was about to say, before we get into this, are we sure we don't want to tell Pepper to deafen?
Yeah, Pepper, please.
Yeah,
Oh, I wasn't gonna get into it until we did that. Is Light here?
You said Light?
Yeah,
Light is in here.
Light's here. How old were you? Cool.
17.
Poggers. Why?
You're just a freak.
Why?
You're a freak.
Why the fuck did you ask Shadows? What the fuck were you talking about that fucking Kodomo no Jigan came up, first of all?
A user named Kimmy Moore's Trap Brothel.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, the convicted, are they just the convicted child predator? Or is there more to it?
I think when I looked at the police report, it only said, like, trespassing, but other tweets said that they did find child porn on his phone.
So we're gonna have a fun little digressive story time for a minute, because I'm gonna teach you how you do this the right way. Little while back, I had someone, I don't remember. Oh my god, my memory's slipping. I'm furious. In our circles, DM'd me and said, "Hey, a couple of the adults in the room will know what this means." A couple of DM'd me and said, "Hey, what does losing your ears in Loveless mean?" And I said, I was like, "Why did you need to know that?" And they're like, "Oh, we were talking about it." And then, or somebody else was talking about it, and I heard it secondhand, and no one will explain it to me. I said, "How old are you?" They, jokingly, they went, "Old enough?" I'm like, "How old are you?" And they were like, "I'm 16. And I said, "Yeah, I'll explain it to you when you're older." I was like, suffice it to say, it's not appropriate. You shouldn't know about that. The joke I made was, "I'll tell you when you're older." Fucking... What on earth made you think that was alright?
I'd like to also mention that you wanted Neko Shadows to tell Light about this anime, but then immediately got real fucking eager to do it yourself. Did you get off on that or something? Like, what's up with that? You really wanted to tell a child about a fucked up anime with that description. Also, secondarily, thank you, Ty. How are you able to, like, pull that information out of the fucking ether, but you magically can't remember the answers to any of the questions Donnie asks you?
I was the person I was one of the people who was most affected by what you did. You can't answer me?
So you cannot remember why you did this thing explicitly to hurt Donnie, but you can remember exactly the conversation you were having where you wanted to explain the plot of what is out and out child pornography to a 17-year-old kid.
Let's see if I can get Schomer's tongue to loosen. Michael, can you hear me?
Sorry. Yeah.
I recommend you start paying attention and answer.
Just responding to that one server thing. I'm not in any event.
Responding!
You don't need to be anywhere else! You don't need to be anywhere else but here right now! What? Do you care? Do you care about what's actually happening? Do you actually have any idea of what you have been doing and what you have done to these children, to these people? Do you even care?
I do.
No, you don't! Because if you cared, you would be here! You would be mentally here right now! You would literally...
Yeah.
Do I need a break for you to actually listen to me?
I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it.
Good!
I don't give a shit!
Hey, Junior, I recommend you get into it.
Is that what I need, Shomes? Do I need a dick for you? To actually fucking give a shit about what any of us are saying? Is that what we need? Do we need a dick for you to fucking care? Or do we need to be under the age of 18 for us to get the time of day from you? You
Is my voice too marshmallow for you?
You're a fucking freak, Shomes. Holy fucking shit. I'm so sorry for all of the people here, not only because they are victims of your degeneracy, but because you don't even give a rat's ass about what any of these people have to fucking say to you. And I have been emotional most of the day, so I apologize if I start fucking crying. But I cannot believe you, Shomes. You know how this community is. You know what we accept and what we don't accept. You've known this for literally years, and you don't care. You can sit here and tell us you care all you want, but you're not even here. You're not even in this conversation. You don't want to be in this conversation, it's obvious. But the least you can do is if you actually want to be responsible for what's in your miserable life, you will listen to these people. You will answer what these people have to say. You will be here. Do I make myself fucking clear, Michael Schomer?
Yes.
Now answer these people's questions. I'm so sorry for yelling. For the people here, not for you, but I am sorry for people for me yelling.
I can't hold it against you, Ellie.
Do you know why I'm asking you this, Michael?
No.
Then let me spell it out for you. Since I guess, anybody who is AFAB apparently isn't worth your actual time to answer. It's because you lied to me, Michael. I asked you if you had any sort of conversations with children that veer into sexual, and here you are recommending an anime where a 9-year-old is hot for their teacher. What does that communicate to you, big boy? I warned you. I warned you, stupid. So I recommend you loose your tongue very quickly. Do not test me.
Can you please repeat the question?
Okay.
I muted my speakers. That's why I didn't hear anything.
All right. We'll wind it back a little bit. We'll start from the top. You couldn't remember why you decided to power play a trans person with their dead name, but you could remember exactly the context of the conversation where you brought up child porn to a minor. So I want to know, what I want to know is why on God's green earth you thought it was a good idea to bring this up to a kid.
I shouldn't have done it.
That is not
That's
what
not
I
the
asked.
question.
No shit, you shouldn't have. Sky's blue, water's wet. You shouldn't have done that at all. We all know that part. That part's the clearest answer. I want to know why. I want to know what made you think that that was a good idea.
I thought it'd be funny, or not so much funny, but, seeing people's reaction to his videos. And that was the one thing that kept, getting mentioned.
Whose videos?
I'd imagine Kikimura's, right?
Yes. I don't...
So, what's your fascination with Kikimura here?
I just kept an eye on him, prior to the incarceration.
So, let me get this straight, because I'm a little confused. This is not a bit or a setup. Genuinely a little confused. So Kikimura is the person in question.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
The convicted, literally convicted of holding. Okay, thank you. So, is what Light is telling me correct? You tried to get Light as a child to cover a convicted sex offender.
That seems accurate, yes.
I don't care what it seems. Is that what you did?
Yes.
Okay. So, not only did you talk about sexually inappropriate material with a child, not only did you trauma dump on literal children, not only did you foist your ideation specifically on literal children, you are going to sit here and tell me that you attempted to put a child in the sights of a convicted sex offender.
May I, real quick?
You absolutely may.
Does Haley know of this stuff?
Oh, that's a really good question. Does she know about all this?
It's a quick yes or no, Shomes.
I don't think she does.
You
She
don't
knows
think
it
she
more,
does, she does.
but not the fracture light thing.
So she doesn't. She doesn't know. You haven't told her. Can you never answer something with like a yes or no? You have to be like wishy-washy about it. Is there anything like actually concrete in your life? Can you ever have a concrete answer for anything? I don't like saying this because I do not like to participate in toxic masculinity. But how about you be a man for once and actually answer with a definitive answer? Is that hard for you? Is a yes or no answer out of your vocabulary reach?
No.
Then answer with a definitive answer. Does Azumanga die in Fan 01? No! You have been inappropriate like this with literal children.
No.
She should.
She should be made aware of this. Is she on right now?
I don't think so.
She seems to never be on nowadays.
Because I really would love to have a conversation with her. And I would love to hear it out of your mouth.
So, you were kicked out of Fox and told why what you did was wrong.
The call ultimately ended with Michael's mother crashing it and denying any wrongdoing on behalf of her son.
He has confessed to us this evening that he has intentionally tried to put a child in contact with a convicted sex offender. And that he has been exposing children to child pornography.
I have not.
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is.
No,
He
it's not.
he
And you know
admitted to
what?
it.
You're just being mean.
Sounds familiar if you ask me. Ever since that happened with me in 2024, Michael has been running around acting like that means he gets to continue on without question. It took me a bit to find this call again, but I think what is heard absolutely ruins any possibility of that being an option for him anymore. Michael, much like Jar, liked to hide behind his autism as an excuse. For him, it was an excuse as to why he would get so inappropriately vulnerable regarding his mental health struggles, whether that be with children or people who simply didn't know him well enough for him to be trauma dumping on them. If this, as an action, is something he chooses to blame on his autism and the notion that he simply can't help himself or doesn't have enough sense to do so, then he needs to recognize that he cannot be in spaces where children are present, or anyone who may be negatively mentally affected by the topics he brings up to them, unprompted. And while autism can be a struggle when it comes to many things, it does not excuse willfully made, morally repugnant decisions. Michael needs to stay gone. I've still got work to do, more videos about more weirdos and dangerous people. I'll probably interlace them with lighter videos for my own sanity's sake. Please stay safe, and try to protect the vulnerable people in your spaces. Take care.